That much was clear when I spoke to Trump in February in the Oval Office. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo has been fantastic. Transportation Secretary Elaine Chao has been great. Labor Secretary Alex Acosta has been great. Housing and Urban Development Secretary Ben Carson has done a very good job. Health and Human Services Secretary Alex Azar, fantastic. Energy Secretary Rick Perry has been great. Agriculture Secretary Sonny Perdue, he's been great. Attorney General William Barr will be really outstanding. The cabinet, of course, was much bigger than that. Some of the men and women Trump declined to mention had clearly fallen out of favor. He had, for example, utterly lost faith in Wilbur Ross, the Commerce Secretary. He's just not tough. Former chief political strategist Steve Bannon told me of Ross, lack of toughness being one of the worst sins in Trump world. And he had little respect for Education Secretary Betsy DeVos, who had only gotten the job because she was connected and rich. Still, the eternal salesman had to make the sale. Raised on Norman Vincent Peale's power-positive thinking, quasi-philosophy, the president was attempting to convince both of us that his people really were the best people, even as evidence to the contrary presented itself daily in the form of damning news reports, mystifying congressional testimony, and ethics reports that read like treatments for mafia movies. Trump admitted that, during the presidential transition, he allowed himself to be influenced by outside groups, whether the Heritage Foundation or energy magnate Robert Murray. I wouldn't say that I agreed with all of the people, he told me, but I let them make their decision. In some cases, I was right. As for the other cases? Well, he left that unsaid. I didn't know that Zinca, Trump began. In fact, Trump didn't know at all about the existence Turnberry Solutions. That's an interesting name, he said sharply. The name was interesting because Turnberry was also the name of a Trump-owned golf course in Scotland. Nobody who wanted to exert influence in Washington would have missed the association. That's amazing, the president said, though his amazement was plainly not of the felicitous variety. Zinca wasn't the only one. A few days before we spoke, ProPublica had found that there were 33 former Trump administration officials who were either lobbying the federal government or were more or less doing the work of a lobbyist without actually registering as such. And it was true that lobbying was old as the republic itself, but had not Trump's promise been that his administration would be unlike any other? He wanted to claim that he was exceptional, except for those instances when it suited him to claim that he was just like his predecessors. There was also the matter of more than 100 key administration positions that remained unfilled. These needed Senate confirmation, and though some nominees have withdrawn, many of those positions never had a nominee in the first place, allowing some agencies and departmental offices to languish like unwatered plants. Trump contradicted this, unsurprisingly, because it did not fit his radiant vision of his own administration, however warped that vision was. I have 10 people for every job, he added. The hard part is choosing, because I have great people. Trump did allow that there been some clinkers, by which he presumably meant people like EPA Administrator Pruitt and HHS head Price, both of whom left the administration in disgrace, as did several other of their colleagues. But that's okay, he said of hiring men and women who turned out to be less than they seemed and less than he'd hoped. Who doesn't? True enough. But there's a difference between a clinker and a charlatan, a man who is no good at his job and a man who sets out to do that job poorly. He later acknowledged that some of them got burned out. That seemed closer to the truth, if not quite all the way there. Conway just sat there, taking it as she has doubtlessly taken it from the boss many times before. You couldn't last in this administration unless you were willing to take it daily, take with a smile and a yes sir, take it even while knowing that much of the country loathed you, considered you complicit in one of the great political crimes in American history. And you would take it in this way that Conway was taking it now only if you truly believed in the man who was giving it, in his vision for the country. Unless, of course, There was something in it for you. There was that too sometimes. These were questions for another time. I rose to go. Get the hell out of here, now, the president told me. All right. Good. Have a good time.